Which account should you pull from first in retirement? You know, the typical person retires with money spread across 4 or 5 different account types: a traditional IRA or a 401k, maybe a Roth IRA, a taxable brokerage account, and then Social Security coming at some point, possibly a pension. And the question nobody fully answers for them before they leave work is simple: which account do you touch first? The order matters more than many people realize. If you pull from the wrong account at the wrong time, you'll end up paying more in taxes over the next 30 years than you needed to, potentially by tens of thousands of dollars or more. By the way, if you find this useful, subscribe and hit the bell. I put out content specifically for people in the 10 years before and after retirement, and this is exactly the kind of planning decision that gets missed. Now, let me walk you through how this actually works. Because the standard advice you'll hear is to draw from the taxable accounts first, then the tax deferred accounts like your IRA or 401k, and then finally the tax-free Roth accounts last. And the logic is simple. Let the tax advantaged money compound for as long as possible. And that's not wrong as a starting point, but it's incomplete. And following it too rigidly can cost you. Because here's the problem that rule ignores. When you retire, especially if you retire before age 70 and you haven't started Social Security yet, you often enter what I like to call the tax gap years. It's a window where your income is artificially low. Your 401k isn't being touched yet, Social Security hasn't started, and you might be living on a savings or a smaller pension. In those years, your marginal tax rate could be the lowest it will be for the rest of your life. That window is where real planning happens. Because at age 73, the IRS is going to require you to take required minimum distributions from your traditional IRA or 401k, whether you need the money or not. And every dollar comes out as ordinary income. Now, if you've built up a large pre-tax balance and you haven't touched it for the past decade, that RMD can be substantial. I've seen clients hit age 73 and discover their RMD is $60,000 or $70,000 a year stacked on top of Social Security. That ends up pushing them into tax brackets they never expected, which can trigger Medicare surcharges, called IRMA, on top of everything else. Let me give you a concrete example on how a different withdrawal sequence changes the outcome. Let's take a couple that retires at 63 with $1.4 million in a traditional IRA, $200,000 in a Roth IRA, and $300,000 in a taxable brokerage account. Social Security starts at age 70 for both of them. Now, if they follow the standard advice and they draw from the taxable brokerage account first, touching nothing in the IRA, they arrive at age 73 with that same $1.4 million growing in the IRA for a decade. Their RMD at age 73, based on IRS life expectancy tables, could be in the range of $55,000 to $65,000 a year. And that stacks on top of the 2 Social Security checks and potentially pushes a significant portion of those benefits into their taxable income. Now take the same couple with the same money, but during those 7 years between retirement and RMDs, they do something different. Instead of simply living off the brokerage account, they also do some modest Roth conversions. Every year, they move $40,000 to $60,000 from the IRA into the Roth. They pay taxes on those conversions, but at their current low rate, say it's like 22%. Over time, they reduce the IRA balance from $1.4 million to something closer to $800,000. Now at age 73, their RMD is roughly half of what it would have been. Their total taxable income is lower. Their IRMA exposure may disappear entirely, and their Roth balance, now grown to several hundreds of thousands of dollars, can be used for flexible spending without any tax consequence at all. The difference in lifetime taxes between those two paths is not small. And we've modeled situations where optimized sequences save $150,000 to $200,000 in taxes over a 30-year retirement. That's real money. And it comes entirely from sequencing, not from investing differently and not from saving more. There's a third layer to this that people miss, and it has everything to do with your Social Security timing. When you claim Social Security affects your taxable income in 2 ways. First, the larger the benefit, the more of it may be taxable. So up to 85% of Social Security benefits can become subject to federal income tax if your combined income crosses certain thresholds. Second, the years between retirement and Social Security are often the best window for Roth conversions. Why? Because Social Security hasn't started stacking on top of your other income yet. Delaying Social Security to age 70 gives you a larger benefit for life and preserves more of that low income conversion window. These two decisions, Roth conversions and Social Security timing, are deeply connected, and they should be planned together. One more scenario is worth walking through because it catches people off guard. What happens when one spouse passes away? Well, if you're married, you file jointly, but these tax brackets are wider then. The same income that was comfortable on a joint return suddenly faces a more narrow bracket when that surviving spouse has to change and start filing single. What was a modest tax bill can become a significantly higher one from exactly the same income. If that couple hasn't done any Roth conversion work, that surviving spouse is now drawing a Social Security benefit and the full RMDs from a large IRA, well, the effective tax rate can jump substantially. Planning for that scenario while both spouses are alive and healthy is one of the highest value things a financial planner can do for a couple. The framework to take from this is pretty straightforward. I want you to think about your accounts in 3 different buckets. Taxable accounts, these brokerage accounts and savings, are the most flexible and often carry the lowest marginal tax on withdrawals. Tax-deferred accounts, your IRA, your 401k, these are our ticking tax obligations. The money is yours, but a portion of it also belongs to the IRS. And the longer you wait, the less control you have over when and how much you pay. Third bucket is those tax-free accounts. These are your Roth IRAs, Roth 401ks, but they give you the maximum flexibility with no RMD obligations during your lifetime. Now, the goal of any withdrawal strategy is to manage these 3 buckets so you control how much income is taxable in any given year rather than letting the IRS decide that for you at age 73. And by the way, the point of this game is for you to pay the least amount of taxes overall, not just the least amount of taxes in 1 year. So if you want to understand how income structure underneath all of this works, there's a chapter from my book on creating lifetime income, and it's a good place to start. I put together a free copy of that chapter, and the link is in the description below. It walks through the full framework that we use at Palante Wealth for building retirement income in a way that integrates taxes, spending structure, and flexibility. Go ahead and take a look. And if this raises questions about how this applies to your specific accounts, that's what a Great Life meeting is for. You might want to reach out for us for that.